All right, what is up, everybody? Dr. Landon here from Spiral Secrets, here bringing you another episode of Spirals in Sports. And today I want to show you Mike Tyson, right? Obviously, one of the most savage boxers in history. You've probably seen him showing people how to box, giving them some tips, and he's like 50 years old, still moving so fast, obviously, still super strong. Crazy speed, crazy power. And he just plays his boxing style. He's able to cut angles really quickly. But I wanted to show you some spirals in his mechanics. You can typically watch him in all boxers because it's all biomechanics, right? There's an efficient way to throw a punch, and there's an inefficient way to throw a punch, and there's many different types of punches, and there's many different angles and all of that, but we're not going to get into that. But I just wanted to show you a couple frames of him throwing spirals and where they come from, right? So boxing is very interesting. It's a little bit different than gait analysis because basically the purpose of gait is to basically change your positioning, A to B, right? Forward locomotion. In boxing, you're trying to gain angles to attack or to defend in a very limited amount of space in the boxing ring, right? So optimal boxing mechanics are not necessarily optimal running mechanics, but that's okay because you're not trying to run around the ring. You're trying to fight and you're trying to defend yourself and you're trying to box. So I want to show you how Mike Tyson loads and unloads these spirals during, throwing a couple punches, throwing a hook, throwing a jab, and let's see it. So it's a little bit different than the other spirals that I showed you guys, but still a lot of it is very similar. So right here, most of his weight, not all of it, most of his weight is right on this foot here. So if you guys watch the other videos, it's very similar. His whole body is rotating this way, right? And you can see that because of the level of his shoulders rotating this way. And this is producing a punch out this way, giving him a nice stiff jab to the face, right? But then what happens? Let's see what happens. He's going to move. He's going to shift. And now he's throwing a counter spiral off of this leg. And his whole body will begin to rotate this way. And then his arm's going to come over here and clip him with a mean hook, snap his head back. Now he's seeing stars. Good night. Right? So, boom. And you could actually see his trail leg. Well, it was his lead leg. Remember, it was here. Now it's becoming his trail leg. And there's a bit of rotation that you could see from here, right? And then it moves inward, and you could actually see it, his knee come inward this way, right? But again, like we said, boxing mechanics are not the same as running mechanics. So, there's a little bit of this, a leftover spiral from the other punch. And, that's not optimal for running because you're getting two spiraling forces going in opposite directions. That puts a lot of risk at that knee. And yeah, but that's why Mike Tyson is not a runner. He's a boxer. All right, so let's continue. Yikes. But look, you could actually see him do the exact same thing. Remember I told you guys the flexed leg goes into external rotation and then the extended leg goes into internal rotation. Did I say that right? The flex leg goes into external rotation. The extended leg comes into internal rotation. And that will produce the necessary spirals to allow for forces to be transmitted through the body. All right. Well, that's an ugly one, but let's continue. Yikes. All right. Okay, so let's see. So here's a really great example. Again, he's putting weight on this leg and unloading his extended leg. That means he's rotating this leg to this side, rotating this leg to internal rotation. The pelvis is rotating here. Core, rib cage, shoulder is all rotating here, and then that's throwing out the right arm, right? It's all synchronized spirals, right? When you throw a punch, your whole body is rotating into that punch. That front leg is rotating in external rotation slightly, and the back leg is going into internal rotation. Yeah. How much would it cost for you to take a body shot from Mike Tyson? You guys let me know in the comments. All right, this is very cool to see because you could see how the punch actually starts in the pelvis, spiraling in the pelvis, in the hips. And then that is going to position the rib cage, position the core and the shoulders to unload a left. Oh, I skipped it. There we go. Boom. Right, so what moves first? Right? To me, it actually looks like maybe either his left hip or his right hip. What do you guys think? What moves first in this punch? So he's getting ready to punch here already. Let me get out the way. All right, so he's getting ready to punch. What moves first? Is it the arm? Nope. Is it the legs? Possibly. But it looks more like a rotation before anything to me, right? This looks like is rotating here, rotating here, rotating here, rotating here, rotating here, rotating here, here, and that sets up this, sets up this, sets up this, sets up this, and then the arm comes. Right, so it's almost right here where he initiates the punch, right? Let's continue. All right, so this, you could see the derivatives of gait cycle, right? So remember from the other videos, if you haven't seen them, go check them out. But basically, he's pinning or he's using this leg as a pivot, and then his whole body is rotating around that leg this way and throwing out this right hook. Boom, right? And notice the direction of the feet, right? So his foot is pointed this way, his heel, right? And so it's like this, right? And then when he's done throwing the punch, right here, right, the heel comes away, and now he's like this. So he's rotating his foot all the way around, right? And allowing for that rotation, right? Also, another thing to be mindful of is this shoulder coming back down. So remember it's all one thing, right? So as one side is pushing, as one side is rotating forward, that means the opposite side is rotating to the opposite side, right? If you push one side and you pull another side, that gives you a rotation. And you're not going to get a powerful punch without getting a push and a pull. Oh my goodness, my dogs are going crazy. Damn. All right. So let's keep going. I got a couple more here to show you guys. So this is pretty savage. Right, let's continue. Okay, this is a great view, and you can see another couple clips. All right, so look, so he's dodging, right? Just slipping these punches. And then how do you know he's getting ready to throw a punch? You could tell right away because he gets into that stance. Boom, athletic position, back heel off the ground, right? So this is what I train. This is what I train every day. This is how I teach my trainees. I always teach them, take your back heel off the ground. You don't want to drive your heel through the ground, especially on your back foot, because that's how you risk your Achilles. This is an athletic stance. This is what's powerful. Setting up on this leg here, right? And then unloading this leg, taking this back heel off the ground, so that basically you can begin to spiral this way, and he's already spiraled that way, right? You can tell by his shoulders. So where do you think he's going to throw a punch from? Is he going to throw it from his right arm? No, it seems like, that opportunity is already passed, right? If he's throwing it from his right, he's already thrown it from the right, right? Because he's already in the stance. But what he is ready to do or ready to unload is basically throw his left after he's unwound these spirals. So he's already here. So that means his next opportunity is probably going to come back this way, right? And he may or may not bring this foot. He might bring that around forward and then have that positioned here, just like his other foot, right? Just where it's going to be the opposite of what his feet are at now. So let's see. Boom. Right? See? So that's exactly what I said, right? Boom. So he's getting ready, or he's already thrown it, right? But his feet are now set up like this, and they're now spiraling this way. Can you guys see that? Whereas before, he was set up in the other stance. So he's set up here, loaded on this foot, and then he was spiraling this way, right? Yeah, crazy power. And this is a really good video of him training. And I like these videos because, he's just drilling, and you get to see a glimpse into what's going through his mind, right? Look at those spirals. Like I said, boxing is a little bit different than running. In running, you're typically throwing spirals across your body, and then in boxing, a lot of times you're throwing spirals on the same side of your body, and you see that here. Okay. Boom. So look at that. So on this side, it's rotating, and that sets up the left. Right? Even the front leg begins to rotate. Remember, guys, there's this idea of joints behaving in a single planes of motion, right? So some people might think that the elbow is purely flexion and extension, and some people might think that the knee is purely flexion extension. That means, one plane of motion, right? But there's no such thing as moving in one plane of motion. All motion is coupled motion, meaning you can only have flexion with a certain amount of rotation. You could only have translation moving forward with a certain amount of rotation. This might be above your, over your head, but for some people who know what I'm talking about, it's all coupled motion, right? So you cannot go into pure flexion and extension without rotation somewhere. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode of Spirals in Sports, this time with Iron Mike Tyson. Obviously he seems like a really, really cool guy, seen a lot of crazy stuff, done a lot of crazy stuff. But yeah, he's a legend, obviously. And yeah, that's just one of these, once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? I'm telling you guys, stop training in straight lines. Doing a deadlift is not going to make you more scary in the ring. It's not going to translate to more power. What is going to translate is rotational power, spiraling, momentum, building an athletic stance, building more accessible tension through the body. Having a crazy bench press numbers doesn't translate into being able to punch harder, because a punch is a rotational exercise. It's a one-sided push and an other-sided pull. Technically, they're both pulling, right? One side is pulling on the front, the other side is pulling on the back, and that creates this rotation. But when you have bilateral exercises, such as a bilateral squat, bilateral deadlift, bilateral bench press, etc., you're not allowing for enough rotation. So you're pulling the body apart at the middle where it would naturally want to rotate, right? Let me know if that makes sense to you guys. If it doesn't, I'll figure out a way to explain it to you so that it does. Yeah, that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care.